Yes, we are here once again, and this is where we discuss everything sports, and we bring out our opinions, and throw it out to you, the listeners, and then the viewers out there to also join us. Today, we are going to talk about the Black Stars and Ghana football in general. I know, as Ghanaians, these issues, if we don't discuss and we look at other issues, it would be like we don't love our game, but we love our game so much that we can't see things happening and keep quiet over them. And so Rozo is here, for the first time in the studios of Sports 24 Online. And as usual, my partner, Mugi, is the last time we came here, we played a game, and he cheated, and it was on camera. Ishmael captured everything, so our fans realized who cheated. Anyway, today no games. We are talking about Ghana football. A lot is happening. My initial thought about Ghana football is that all is not well. If you love Ghana football and you make any comment to suggest that we are fine, then it means that I don't want. We are on camera, so I don't want to use certain words. It means that you are really. Okay, let me not use the words I want to use. I'll come back. But guys, let's discuss this issue of great concern to us. Out of, it seems, 48 countries, that 24 must go to the AFCON next year. Ghana, part of the 24 that would be watching the AFCON on TV, is uncalled for, and it is something I never thought in my wildest dream would happen. Because in a group where, with all due respect, we had Angola, because Angola, this is the first time Angola, they have beaten Ghana. This is the first time. A group where we had Niger, we had Sudan. I was thinking, if not for anything, Ghana should have made it to the next AFCON. But here we are. We will be watching the AFCON on TV. Let me have your thoughts on it, and I'll also come in with my genuine position on what is happening and what I think should be done.
I think even before we delve much into issues surrounding the senior national team, Black Stars, I would like to extend my best wishes to Abdul Fattah Issahaku. As you know, Steve Cooper, the head coach of Leicester City, has just confirmed that Abdul Fattah Issahaku is out for the rest of the season. And it's heartbreaking and heart-wrenching.
Is it the injury he picked with the national team?
Against Angola in Luanda. You know, sometimes we are very quick to judge these players by questioning their commitment and loyalty to the national team. But sometimes a number of them who are very committed to the national team, this is the price that they normally pay. Because Abdel Fattah Issahaku, you agree with me that he started the season on a very brighter note. Some few weeks ago, he was able to make a mark for Leicester City, coming on as a substitute, and everyone was praising the guy. As we speak now, he's not going to get a chance to play football again for the rest of the season. What it therefore means is that his position will be taken by somebody, and if the person is able to utilize the unique opportunity very well, it means that Abdel Fattah Issahaku will have to start from square zero to be able to fight through to get his position in the Leicester City setup again. I feel very sad for the young man, but it is my hope and prayer that he comes back even stronger. Now, to delve into matters relating to senior national team, the Black Stars, I think we will need a whole lot of time to discuss about the Black Stars, because sometimes you want to isolate emotions from your objective analysis when it comes to the Black Stars, but in most occasions you are not able to, simply because you are a Ghanaian and you feel like things are not going on well. One of the principal candidates of this year's presidential elections in Ghana has ever said something. He said it in the context of economics, that when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rates will expose you. But if we are going to relate it to our football, we will say when the fundamentals are weak, the results will expose you. And you see, issues of the Black Stars dwindling has not started today. To me, it started way back in 2019. If you cast your mind back to 2019 when Akwesi Appiah took us to the Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt, it was a disastrous campaign. We ended the tournament bottom in our group. We exited. He was made to go, and that was the period within which we voted for Keto Kreku to become the Ghana Football Association president. He was replaced with what's the name, Sike Akono. Sike also came. If you look at statistically the number of matches he played, he was able to win only 4, lose 4 and draw 2. So it means that in terms of percentage, the number of matches that he lost and the ones that he won were almost were the same. You understand? It wasn't encouraging. He was packed out. Surprisingly, the FA set up a committee to look for a coach. Surprisingly, they went and settled on Milovan Rajevac, a coach who we give credit to for our output at the World Cup in 2010. But we all knew that if you want a coach with a very good pedigree, who has coached teams to the highest level, I think you cannot mention Milovan Rajevac. He's only the only thing you can give credit to, or you can give credence to in terms of his coaching career, is just the what we went through in 2010 when he took us all the way to the quarterfinal stage of the World Cup. Aside that, they went and brought him back. Many of us were disappointed, and our disappointment was confirmed in 2021 at the Africa Cup of Nations when we exited again at the group stage. After that, they went and brought was it Otuado? Immediately Otuado also came. He took us to the World Cup. When he took us to the World Cup, we exited again at the group stage. So if we're going to be very objective to ourselves, it means that there was a problem. But you see, fast forward to Chris Hilton also came. He didn't go well. He was sacked. Now, all these coaches that I have mentioned, they all exited one tournament after the other at the group stage. This time around, it's not even the fact that we have even qualified and we got eliminated from the group stage. We've not been able to even qualify at a point where CAF has extended the number of countries to participate at the Africa Cup of Nations to 24. So it means that fundamentally there is a problem. That's the Ghana Football Association, because they have the ultimate responsibility to ensure that the Black Stars perform at the highest level. It means that fundamentally there is something wrong. But you see, I saw a lot of posts on social media after our failure to qualify to Morocco, and one of those posts got me. Someone asked that, look, the problem is not the Black Stars' inability to qualify to the Africa Cup of Nations. The problem is, are we able to identify what the problem is to be able to even talk of solving the problem? It's like we are not aware. Just before we got into this studio, I've heard that the Ghana Football Association is organizing a stakeholder symposium. They are inviting you, the media. They are inviting.
Are you not part of us?
every stakeholder, chiefs, what have you, market women, and everyone to come to Pr0blems on the 28th of November to be able to suggest ideas on how to solve, should I call it, the perennial embarrassment of the Black Stars in major tournaments. And I think from where I sit, I will not lie to you, one is not able to easily identify what is the problem confronting the Black Stars. So that is my fear. If we are not able to identify what the problem is, how then are we able to solve those problems? Finally, before I land, we all saw the Ghana Football Association setting up another committee after Chris Hilton was sacked, right? They listed a number of what do they call it? The criteria that they were going to consider before hiring another coach to take the helm of affairs of the Black Stars. What we saw was that, if I can recall some of the things, they said a coach who has coached to the highest level.
with 15 years experience.
With 15 years experience. A coach who has acquired the highest lines coaching certificate.
Yeah.
I can recall some of them.
Yes, and a coach who, I'm just paraphrasing, a coach who has taken a team that is struggling out of its
you understand? A coach who has demonstrated that they are able to take a team out of a mess and stabilize the team again. Let me just put it that way. They ended up bringing back a certain Otuado
who did not apply.
Who did not apply?
Yes, we're told that about 600 coaches applied.
Who did not apply? So it appeared the Ghana Football Association already had someone in mind before letting us go through all this stress. A lot of people question the rationale behind the reappointment of Otuado because many people believe that he was inexperienced. But today, as we speak, I am of the unpopular view that he should be maintained. We cannot continue on the tangent of firing and hiring coaches. It is costing the taxpayer. Aside costing the taxpayer, it is part of the reasons why we are not stabilizing the team. The team is not, because this coach will come with a different philosophy. Another coach will come with a different philosophy. So it is not helping the team. I think fundamentally, the problem is beyond the coaching department. I will not single Otuado alone, even though he is part of the problem. But he is not the only one. As we speak now, what's the name? The management committee of the Black Stars has also been dissolved. Yes, it has been dissolved, no problem. But will the dissolution of the management committee be the only panacea to bringing the Black Stars back to its glory days? I don't think it is the case. So fundamentally, something is wrong. But what is wrong? One is not able to easily identify. So where I sit, I think we are in a serious trouble.
So, Rosso, do we know the problem, or we should wait until after 28? What is really happening to us?
So I think there's an accident on the highway, and then as first aiders, we rush to the scene to offer support to accident victims. Some have suffered fracture, some bruises, some injuries, and all those things. Then, as we evacuate the victims from the bus, then we are attending to them. Then, shockingly enough, one of them walks out of the bus. He is standing upright. He looks very fine. You understand? And I say, "Oh, okay. You are okay. You are good to go. Just stand here. Let's attend to the others." Then suddenly we turn and see him. He collapses to the ground and he dies. Why? We didn't take notice. He suffered internal bleeding. So looking at him physically, we don't see injuries, we don't see bruises. So we take it that he is good to go. But he had organ injury internally. Maybe the liver, maybe the heart. Then there was bleeding internally. He was dying standing. But we didn't take notice of that. We didn't think that, okay, let's also attend to him. He may have suffered some injury internally. Then he falls down, collapses, and dies. No management again. Nothing to do. That is the classic way I can describe what is happening in Ghana football today. Some few years ago, we were in delusion that nothing was wrong with our football. Even after that infamous number 12 expose, that we had to go through some normalization period by FIFA himself. And then afterwards, there was election organized. Kurt would win the election 2019, first term. Now, into his second term, there has not been any positive change. You understand? So the sudden collapse of our football didn't begin today. It began some time ago, but we're just deluded from the reality. That's how I see it. And we'll be mistaken if we take the Black Stars in seclusion. I think there's an entire caboodle here, and it has to do with Ghana football structure. It's in tatters. Point to me one perimeter in our football that is good to go today. Point to me one. Women's football, the Ghana Premier League, various national teams from U17 to senior national team. Point to me one that is performing across the genders, male and female national teams. Which one? Nothing. Even our referees, how often do they get appointments? The national competitions. When was the last time you had Ghanaian referees in the AFCON doing very, very well? Nothing like that. Ghanaian coaches, how often do you see them coach other African clubs African nations. Okay, we have the case of Apia in Sudan. Recently, we had Salah Tete in Rwanda. Who else? Who again? You understand? Even our football administrators, how many of them are, progressing right into the corridors of CAF, to the corridors of FIFA? Points to me. Nothing seems to work in Ghana football. And it took our own handiwork to lead us where we are today. You understand? Now, if you look at all these things, and then you just have to say that there's one body clothed with the responsibility of organizing Ghana football, and that is the GFA. So that is the first point of call in terms of blame, corridors of GFA. You understand? So, all these things. So we pay so much attention on the Black Stars because we say it's the cash cow. That is our most attractive brand, right? But today, it is very, very repulsive. There's nothing to attract regarding the Black Stars. We have become a laughingstock in Africa and the world. Check out the latest CAF rankings. Even countries like Cape Verde are better than Ghana. Cape Verde, less than 10 million population, they are better than Ghana. Nothing in terms of football exploits to take notice of, nothing. So Ghana has been on a drawback mission. We have been drawn back for some time now, and I think that if the slump is not terminated, it may even get worse. Now, Mugis just said that he had there's a symposium being organized. Look, I did a write-up recently and I suggested something like that, but I think it's quite different from what I suggested. The GFA does not have the moral right to organize any such symposium because it is neck deep in the problem. Normally you see that there's some corruption allegation alleged, okay, against some firm, okay. So there's going to be investigation. They do not take part in the investigation. They are, some independent body is brought to do some, what's the word? Come and ransack the place if you like, and then do some investigation. So GFA shouldn't do this. Ordinarily, you would have thought that it is the responsibility of the sports ministry, but even that one is led by a very inept minister. And we don't have to mince words about it. He is not fit for purpose, the sports minister. Not fit for purpose. He's been like a square peg in a round hole. Oh yes, and that is where our problem trickles down from, to the very, very bottom. You understand? He comes across as someone who is not on top of his issues. He doesn't really seem to know his bait. And I remember recently there was some, what's it called? Session where he was invited, and even the chairman of the National Sports Authority of Chumesi,
the Public
Accounts Committee, which has the powers of a high court, actually. So, and James Kluche Aveji, former deputy minority leader, was the chairman of the session, and he was like, he just saw that clearly this was a minister who was not on top of issues, and he was like, why do you allow yourself to be bandied about by the director general of the National Sports Authority? It looked like he was being dictated to. Now, that aside, we have a GFA that is also lame. GFA is, look, it has become so shameful. It's a shameful body today, and it's also led by someone who inspired so much hope in the beginning, but today Kurt is coming across as perhaps the worst FA president we have had in recent times. And look, what we are experiencing in Ghana football today is the darkest phase in our history. Darkest phase. Look at the last 4 or 5 years. What positive can you draw from the last 4 or 5 years? Nothing. And so, look, if we had won gold in some tournaments, of course we'll give credit to the FA president. So if we also fail, we must give him the flag. That is only fair. So I think that ordinarily it is the sports ministry that should have organized this with particular attention from central government. Look, central government should have taken serious interest in this, because everything that happens goes to them, also has an impact on them. We've been in this country where we've had even the politicians say, look, it was in our era we qualified for the World Cup. You've heard it.
Yeah, many times.
It was in our administration Ghana qualified for the World Cup. So they take credit. So once you take credit when there is some positive news, when there is negative, show interest, and then sometimes you let heads roll. That is what we have to be doing. We cannot have officers put in charge of some works and then they fail, and then we look at them and then we treat them with kids' gloves. We cannot do something like that. So I thought that it should have been central government organizing something like that. and now invite various stakeholders. And when I made that write-up, I suggested that, look, the National Sports Authority, the Ghana Football Association, the Ghana League Clubs Association, GALCA, PLB, Professional League Board, you understand? All these guys should be brought on board. RAG, Referees Association of Ghana, they should be brought on board. SWAG, Mugi Senko, Sports Writers Association of Ghana, they should be brought on board. Every other stakeholder in Ghana football must be brought on board. Let them come. And this is how they'll go. So, for example, RAG, big stakeholder, because they are referees and they officiate our games. From your end, what do you think is wrong with Ghana football? So maybe RAG is represented by 2-3 people. One of them speaks and states what they think is the problem and suggests measures to solving the problem. This is from the point of view of RAG. Let's have SWAG come in front. There's a certain Kwabena who is what?
The president.
You understand? If he wants to represent SWAG and address the government, let him do that. Let him profess solutions to the problem. We have GALCA, you understand? We have PLB and all those guys. Even GALCA, I understand recently they've been in some turmoil, power play and all that, you know. So let them also come on board. What do they think? What is the solution to the problem? Now, apart from this, some individuals, distinguished individuals, must be targeted and invited. Abedi Pele, for me, his silence is deafening. His silence on Ghana football is deafening. But sometimes you look at it and you can hardly begrudge him because he may be thinking that, come on, I go in there, I'll be smeared.
Yeah.
Let me just keep my cool and then have my reputation intact. But this is a football ecosystem you are a big part of because you have a certain Nani FC, which also strives to play in Division 1 Premier League one day. That is the same ecosystem. So you must take special interest. He is very quiet. He must speak up. So someone like him, look, world acclaimed Abedi Pele, he cannot be quiet on Ghana football issues when everything is going haywire. Let him come and speak. Look, someone like Sami Kufuor, acclaimed worldwide, formerly of Bayern Munich. You saw recently his birthday, how Bayern Munich celebrated it, and even posted some videos of him playing for them. Someone like Tony Bafo, he is in the corridors of FIFA. You remember, even serving as match commissioner in some FIFA World Cup matches. Someone like him is an authority. Let us bring him on board. Football historians, you understand? There's Carl Tufo. I love him so much. GBC. He's got so much knowledge about Ghana football. Let him be brought on board. What do you think as an individual about what is wrong with our football and how we can solve it? Someone like our own Summertime Killer. He's a football historian. He's been around for some time. He's covered Ghana football for long. He can have an opinion. Let us listen to him. People like this, even if it's be like a 2-day, 3-day conference somewhere. He mentioned about politicians saying if the exchange rates. Look, also there was a politician, actually president of Ghana, who said that at that time the economy of the country was bad. And then he organized an economic forum in Senchi. You guys may remember it, where he brought together economic brains and even extended an olive branch to opposition. As to whether they came or not, I can't remember. So you must take responsibility as the leader. Look, admit that. And he was saying about problem. The first step in finding solution to every problem is first admitting that the problem exists.
Exactly.
If you delude yourself from the reality that there's no problem, you can never solve it. So admit that there's a problem. Then you bring together people who can profess solutions to that problem. That is how you can solve it. So I think that something like this conference must happen, but not just for the sake of it, with the intent of carving out a Ghana football working document. Because when all these stakeholders come and speak, then you put the pieces together, you produce a document out of it. You don't throw it into the bin, you don't bin it. You put it in the GFA headquarters. Every succeeding FA couple who comes must align his campaign promises with it. So it means that there's already a plan for you to implement. You don't bring whatever you think is manifesto to come and implement. Now, let me also add this thing to it. I have a big problem with Congress, Ghana Football Congress. That is the highest decision-making place. You know, they bring together these football administrators and then they come together. Recently, football congresses, whether ordinary or extraordinary, have been like rally grounds for political parties, where it is always 100% endorsement. And you will find football administrators stand on their feet cheering FA presidents. Congress grounds are opportunities for you to come and sometimes disagree to agree. You can never see dissenting opinions, so every time everything is agreed upon, 100%. as if to say everything is rosy with our football. So I have a problem with the architecture of Congress. It is like a rally ground these days. They must tweak it. They must change it. And you know why this is the problem? Because if someone wants to run for the presidency, the GFA, he goes around, makes friends with club administrators. Then there's something like a faction. It is now like we versus them, me versus you. So he has some people who support him to the presidency. And then he wins the presidency. And it's like a payback time. So because they did him a favor, he's returning the favor. They will never see anything wrong with his administration, even if something is wrong. They play along. You don't run football like that. So you hardly find administrators, club administrators go to Congress and disagree. Everything is agreed upon. How is this possible? There must be dissenting voices so that ultimately we arrive at a conclusion that is beneficial and counterproductive to Ghana football. So I think that these things must be taken into consideration if anything is going to change in Ghana football.
All right, very well said. After this, I don't know what I'm going to add, but I would want to also pick it from a very different angle and a very personal angle. And let me lay this foundation that football, like our politics, nobody, whether John Mahama, I'm talking about politics, John Mahama, Dr. Baumia, Nanado,
Cheddar,
whoever that wants to be president does not want to be president to destroy the nation. They all want to be president to build the nation. They have good plans. In the same way, in our football, Kurt, I don't think, came in to destroy football. But when I'm saying this because a lot of bashing has gone on, and I still blame the FA for all of these things that are happening. Rosso mentioned that when Kurt was coming in, he was one candidate that when he speaks, you have no option but to buy into what he's bringing on board. So I don't know if you guys can remember these documents. This is Fred Papo.
Yeah.
Fred Papo, former vice president, when he was seeking to become GFA boss. So this was his sort of manifesto. Then Kurt also came out with this.
The game changer.
The game changer. Remember, we all met at the stadium, the conference hall. I mean, when this document was given to us, and I studied it from the executive summary, I don't want to go, into details. He had his CV in it, his strategic intent and his vision was there. And then his pillars, what he would do for the Premier League, the Ghana Premier League, and then the clubs. Do you know that the borehole thing is captured here? And everything he's doing is captured here. Now that there are issues and people are bashing the FA boss, I've taken the last 2 days to read this. And I realized that we all missed something. Ben Kofi brought in the 5-year development plan.
2004.
Yes. This document never had anything of a sort as in something that would develop. It was, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this. We'll give footballs. He has given the footballs. We will give jerseys. He has given. We will do boreholes. He has done it.
And buses have come.
Buses too have come. Football boots. They were all captured here. Now, I always say that it is only in schools that the marking scheme works. But in politics and in our football, or when you come outside the four walls of formal education, it looks as if marking scheme does not work. Because if we want to mark Kurt, it should be on this document. Because if nothing is achieved here, then it means that you did nothing for us. If you look at the document, his branding, marketing, fantastic. We've all seen what he has done. But when it comes to the proper administration, that is a big mess. And we can't sit here and talk as if everything is okay. nothing is going on well. Now, national team, I'll read this, and this is why I'm saying that Kurt should be blamed. And all the bashing that is leveled against him or coming at him, he has allowed it because if you have given us this document and things are not going on well, the first thing, as Rosso said, is for all of us to admit that we have a problem. But for the last 2-3 years, we've been painting a picture to make it look as if everything is okay. Now, national teams department, he says that the success of the national teams at major international competition is undoubtedly a great tool for national cohesion and pride. Thus, it's imperative that government continues to invest in them. 1. While government is encouraged to continue to provide support for the various national teams, I believe that a self-financing model should be the long-term goal, in line with our aim of progressively making the national team self-financing. The Black Stars, emphasis, the Black Stars would be positioned to derive maximum sponsorship to be able to cater for itself and the other national football teams, meaning that his administration was going to use the Black Stars as the front runner to get all the sponsorships and not squander the money just by the Black Stars, but the other national teams will benefit, and also make the Black Stars a self-financing team, or let me say unit. The question is Black Stars currently, after so many years of his administration, has the Black Stars been able to self-finance itself? No. We always rely on government. Now, to achieve this policy, the national teams must be well managed. Hence, the introduction of the national team department at the GFA to give the needed focus and management attention to this aspect of the association's operation. Now, how effective, even if we have the national team department at the GFA, how effective is this? Because previously we never had a national teams department, but we're doing well. Now, assuming without admitting we have it, what has happened? We can't even qualify to an AFCON tournament where the numbers have been increased. There were about 48 teams. We're supposed to be 24 to qualify in a group with Angola, Niger, Sudan. With all due respect to these 3 fantastic countries, Ghana was not able to qualify. So I'm saying Kurt should be blamed, because if you have this document, this is the marking scheme. I am reading what you said you will do using the Black Stars, because we are talking about the Black Stars. Have you been able to achieve it? No. What is the honorable thing to do? The honorable thing to do, for me personally, I think that by now there should have been a national document, not even a document. He should have addressed a national address by the Ghana Football Association president that, look, it is now official. We have problems in Ghana football. I thought I could do it. I had good plans, but my strategy is failing me. I need all hands on deck. If you read this document, he says that there will be no divisions. If you read this document, it's a unifying document. But you ask yourself, since he took over, has there been unity? We've heard of family and friends, and all these are all alleged cases and all that. There is indirect division at the FA, but I believe that he should have come in at a time where there has been a Romanization committee, where Ghana football was in tatters. You are coming back to lift it up. It should have been all hands on deck. But those unifying speeches end at the podium after the cameras are shut and the lights are off. We don't see the unity, and that is what is happening. Because at this point in time, that we should have seen the Georgia Free years, we should have seen the others coming in to say that let's support our brother and let's support our GFA. But when things started, how did it start? Would these people be comfortable coming in? It would be very difficult. Finally, let me just end by saying that we should all agree that we have a problem in our football, to the extent that the Black Stars, for the first time in about 20 years or so, we have not qualified for the AFCON. And me, I am happy to some extent, because if I look at the way we played, we had no identity. One of the things, the criteria for the coach that was coming in was that
let me read
DNA,
it out, that must have a football philosophy that aligns or complements our DNA.
What philosophy? The new Manchester United manager, Amorim, his first interview, the salient point he made, the first thing to do is to instill an identity. That is the first thing.
First few weeks, people will see a particular identity.
You mentioned Otuado. What is the identity? Gone were the days when we had the one goal project. It was an identity. We know that Ghana, you can't score us. If you make a mistake and we score you one, we will end with the 1-0. And that was what we were looking for. Currently, there is no identity.
What's the DNA?
So you see,
no, I'm done. For me personally, I think that we should all accept, led by Keto Kreku, because if things were going on well, we would have been praising him.
When you said he should address the nation, you failed to say he should apologize.
Good.
He must apologize.
I think he has apologized.
No, he was saying
on his Facebook.
No, it shouldn't be Facebook. I'm saying that
how many people have access to Facebook?
You see, when we had COVID, when COVID was in, when Nanado wants to speak, the president wants to speak, they design posters. Then we know that on Friday, 6 p.m. Those videos,
update number 11,
update number 15, you see, it should be something formal.
You see
that on Friday at this time, the president of the Ghana Football Association would be addressing the nation
at the FA headquarters.
At the FA headquarters,
media invited.
Media invited. It will be live on GTV. It will be live on all the national TV stations. Let's pay, address, apologize. Let's admit that we have a problem. Let's move on. Me, I don't buy in. Let's sack this. Let's do this. One must resign. Let us all come.
There is a particular posturing by this current Ghana Football Association that seems to suggest that they are immune to criticism. Seriously, their posturing seems to suggest that they are immune to criticism, and it is not helping our football. Like you said, look at the fine brains at the Ghana Football Association. He cared himself. You talk of Dr. Randiab, you can mention them. There are many at the Ghana Football Association. But Alhaji Raizo Senko, they are all there. You understand? So what is not working for us? You see, part of the fundamental problems affecting the Black Stars at this moment is that, look, if you look at from 2010 coming 2010, you know, there was a certain under-20 that excelled when they went to Rwanda to play the under-20 AFCON. They won the tournament. They proceeded to the World Cup in 2009 in Egypt. Andre Ayew was the captain. They won as the World Cup as the first African country at that level to have done that. We build on that team. They sent us to the AFCON grand finale in 2010 in Angola. In 2015, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon. Am I right? We went to the grand finale again against La Côte d'Ivoire. And if you look at those two grand finales that we played, the first one, we lost to an experienced Egyptian side by just a lone goal. 2015, it was penalty shootout. You understand? So there was that transition. As we speak now, that transition is neither here nor there. There is no transition. Are we able to mention at least 5 key players who are currently playing for our under-20 that we can say they are fit to play for the Black Stars? As we speak now, you see, every coach that we have hired is using a particular or a certain criteria in selecting players into the national team, and I think it is not also helping. Look, KOD is playing in Germany, Division 2, Division 3. He has scored 2 or 3 goals out of 10 matches. So we have invited KOD to come and play. Rozo is playing in let me just say Azerbaijan for a certain team. We'll go and bring Rozo. You understand what I'm saying? So you see that DNA they are talking about. How can we play a certain football that aligns with our DNA? When we go and pick and choose players who are playing for different clubs in different parts of Europe or in different parts of the world. You see, today if you bring these players, the next moment you have another tournament, you leave those players out. You go and bring different, like, so it's just like everything is done in a bizarre manner. There is no coordination. We just go and select players anyhow, bring them to the national team, and expect results. Why is it that we have invited certain caliber of players? When it comes to the national team, they are not able to perform to our satisfaction. Yet when they go back to their clubs, they go and perform. During Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire, we all lambasted Iñaki Williams for his poor or abysmal output in the Africa Cup of Nations. When we exited the tournament 2 days after or a day after, he went back to Atletico Bilbao and he was scoring goals here and there. So sometimes you don't understand. That was why I said it is very difficult to identify what exactly is the problem, because we have reached a point
because we haven't admitted there's a problem.
That is what I'm saying. So maybe we are getting somewhere. The fact that the FA has now agreed that they will hold a stakeholders retreat where everybody should come on board. You understand? So what we don't know is that, are they going to extend invitations? Who are those that they are going to extend invitations to? Because I believe that if it is not an open invitation and they are going to be specific on some individuals that they are going to invite, trust me, if you are a critic of the FA, I don't think they will invite you. You understand? And like Rosa was saying, you see, whether we like it or not, everybody has a part to play in this our Black Stars setup. But look, if you are a fan outside, the only thing you should understand at this material moment is that, look, the Black Stars of yesteryears is not the Black Stars we are seeing currently. So you should lower your expectations whenever the Black Stars is playing. Look, let's even assuming without admitting that the Black Stars had even qualified to go and play in Morocco. Are you telling me that with the kind of performances that we have exhibited, it will have been another group stage embarrassment?
Look at Morocco. Look at the kind of football Morocco is playing.
What would they play?
Algeria.
Just like
then we are in our own country. Look. We are in our own country. Kudus gets a penalty. Then Black Stars fans will be clapping.
It tells you the level of frustration.
They are celebrating.
The level of frustration.
This is where we've gotten ourselves.
Yes. To Sudan, historic qualification. They've not played a single match within their jurisdiction. War-torn country. People are battling for survival in Sudan, yet they are able to qualify to the next AFCON.
Niger played their home game in Togo against Sudan and beat them by how many goals?
Yes,
4 goals. They scored 4 goals.
So, like, honestly speaking, is very sad. Look, I don't know how we got here.
We got here because we failed to plan. It's as simple as that. And it's not about personalities. I think there's a system rot. And so whoever comes into the fray, even if he may be a fine brain, he will kowtow to the dictates of the system, rotten system. And so in the long run, he will fail and the system will still fail. That is how it is going to be like. Now, this transitioning thing, he mentions about under 2009, 2010, towards to 2012, 2015, thereabout. That was something like a transition of a collective, not just one player. Because that was the under 20 team in Rwanda and in Rwanda, right? Okay. And then in Egypt in the World Cup that same year. This time, do you know why we cannot have a transition of a collective of players? Because of this mad rush of youngsters to the Black Stars. So the youngster comes into the fray, 16-year-old, 17-year-old in the U17, U20. He is very good, talented. Now, at that level of our national teams, the coaches are building a team around him so that he can gel and have some telepathy with some players. Suddenly, because he has so much promise, he is taken out of that team. Now, that gelling is destroyed. So, unlike what Dede was able to carve together with that Rwanda team, that team that went to Rwanda, we allowed them and then we got a number of them because it wasn't Dede alone.
Yeah.
About 4, 5, 6 of them, and all those guys. You understand? Ransford was you remember that guy. So today that is how the trend has changed. and so we cannot have it. So the player is rushed to the senior national team. Number one, he is also robbed of the opportunity to grow. He's robbed of the opportunity to grow at that youthful level. He's taken to the senior men where he is. Now he goes there. He's faced with the reality of gelling with top stars established already, when he should have been in a growing phase with players like him. You understand? So quite apart from that, now I disagree with Mugis. He says he doesn't think Otto should be sacked. And this, you see, I am not a fan of sacking coaches. But the dynamics around this one is different, because Otto is in his second stint. And I mentioned somewhere that it's not always good to go back to your ex. We had him first. Then we split. Then we go back to him to come and correct what. Now he has come. He has proven worse. It means we made a wrong decision. You remember? You agree?
Yeah.
It means we made a wrong decision, because look at the final result. So in order to go on a blank slate, we need to do some wiping out. If not, if Otto stays as coach and then he keeps on inviting players, you know very well, unless you want to deny it, that it is not all rosy between Otto and some players.
Yes.
It is not all rosy between Otto and some, especially senior players.
From what I'm hearing,
how can you have 8 absentees?
From what I'm hearing, if matters are not handled well, Thomas Partey may not come back to the Black Stars anytime soon.
Although there's more to this.
Anytime soon.
There's more to this than meets the eye. You see, some of these senior players, I am telling you that they may have given excuses, but beyond those excuses were some genuine problems. Genuine problems. Now, if you keep that manager, how can you go on a new tangent? Do you still have remnants of that problem in the team? I think that we should let go of Otuado. And as for that criteria you guys were talking about, I mean, I saw it and I was like, how can you meet this criteria? You cannot get it. And how do you give a job to someone who failed to apply at the detriment of hundreds of people, according to them, hundreds of people? Look, we must sometimes break the bank. At that time, I was clamoring for Javier Renard. I was clamoring for him. You see, that someone already has a job somewhere is not a reason enough not to poach him out of his job. Give me a better offer. Won't I come? That's how sometimes these things happen. So if you say you want a world-class coach who is able to take a team from ruins to progress, who has got 15 years experience at the top level, who's got the highest qualification in terms of license, and then you go for Otuado, how? It's a mismatch.
But you see, Rosso,
did you see his altercation with the fan, with the journalist?
It was very unfortunate. But you see, we must be fair to him in some instance. You know, mostly when coaches are under intense pressure, especially after games where they were expected to perform well and they don't, once they come to meet the press, you know, most of them, if they are inexperienced like Otuado, the ability to be able to manage their emotions can be quite difficult for them. And you see, but to be honest, some of our colleagues too, the journalists, they are posturing when throwing questions to what's the name, the coaches or managers after games.
At least being a fan as
must be done with utmost respect. You understand? To tell the coach in his face that you think he's better off being a scout than a coach, to me was quite unfortunate. But back to the issue of Otuado. So we can disagree.
Not on that trend.
So let me come back to Otuado. I wanted to comment a bit on that.
About coaches giving post-match comments. As part of his training as a coach, Odro, they are taught human relations, public relations.
Exactly.
And sometimes they are human beings. You have to understand.
The journalist is a human being as well.
Exactly, but you see,
he was only being sad about the situation.
If you tell the coach in his face that you think he's better off being a scout than a coach, I think it was most unfortunate.
For all you know, the journalist has calculated that he will be in Morocco next year, and you can't do that.
Do you remember that? He went to that extent because Otuado was engaging him.
Exactly.
And someone was trying to.
It was something. You see, on the bit of me talking about the fact that they should leave
let's wrap up.
Otuado.
Yeah.
You see, I'm not saying it based on the fact that I think he's the most competent person to lead the Black Stars front at this material moment. But you see, I'm very concerned about the perennial changing of coaches. It is not also helping the team. That is my opinion. Because you see, if you look at the terrain, if we sack Otuado today, who is available? And we meet all the criteria that was set up.
The Ashantis have a proverb that
did you say off the road?
Usro awarijaya.
You say CK Akono. If CK Akono should come back,
let me tell you
the same
something.
problem will still exist.
Let me tell you something.
Because you see, CK Akono, he has been a constant critic of the FA president.
After he left.
After he left. And if he comes back, he's still going to work with the same FA president.
There are many options.
You see, you mentioned heavy Renard. We are all told that the amount of money
that's what I say should break
that is expected to be paid to heavy Renard.
If
he comes to Black
Stars, is it the current coach of Mali also? You know, when Otto came, his first game was against Mali also. He beat them, and Mali really considered that if we maintain this coach, we will not be able to qualify for the AFCON. So they quickly sacked the coach. It seems the one they brought in, or the Cameroon coach, I stand to be correct, is either the current Cameroon coach or the current Mali coach applied for the job, and he was one of the best fits for the job.
No doubt about that. But there are instances
so
where
after Milo, if we had broken the bank and brought that guy,
is it.
Look at the money we have spent in bringing some other coaches.
The government was not willing to provide such an amount of money to be paid to an individual.
So this is where we are.
So that is it.
See where we are today.
So we manage what we have, and at the moment we have Otuado. The only thing we'll do is that maybe let's manage him for some time. You understand? If the dust is settled, then we can talk of changing coaches. Which years? We are on the verge of qualifying to the United States. So that one there, you can be rest assured.
One of the positives of not qualifying is that it affords us some time. To replan better.
Exactly.
And we cannot plan better with Otuado. I don't think so. I think we should shelve him, put him somewhere, get a new person.
No, because
so who are you suggesting we should bring?
Let's open it up.
Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola?
No, we can't go that. Let's open it up. Let's open it up.
You see, that's my bit of it.
You see, this FA, one thing I've observed about them is that, you see, even before they talk of setting a committee or a criteria, they already have someone in mind. And I've observed something. I've observed something.
The other reason why they don't go to people like Javi Renard or some people who may be principled is that they cannot manipulate.
Exactly.
Sometimes these FA presidents and
they were not. It was clear
because
that they were not in support of Chris Hughton's appointment. You understand? It was Chris Hughton was the preference of government. So you could see that their utterances before and during the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire, you could tell.
He was one guy who should have maintained.
Exactly.
He was one guy who should have maintained.
I was of the view that they should have been maintained.
So imagine, for the last 5 years, we have changed 4 coaches. Bringing back one of them twice, Otuado. 5 years, 4 coaches.
So
5 years, 4 coaches. I mentioned it somewhere. Someone said,
and you are advocating for us to appoint a C4.
Yes.
For us to appoint a C4.
Why we've gotten to is very pressing because you see, if you want to, currently we need to take hold of the dressing room.
Kildy, you said,
and then this guy has lost it. This guy has lost.
No, we need to take hold of the dressing room, and in taking hold of the dressing room, I think the head coach should leave.
Absolutely.
Then we get someone that will be new to the environment and new to the system. Who
head
can
coach and his backroom staff.
That is it.
Clear out.
There's nothing I can say.
I'm not a prophet.
I am done.
The one thing I can assure you is that we can sack Otuado. We can go and bring whoever we want to bring, but we will still come back to this table and talk about the same matter.
So the thing is that when you sack Otuado and bring a new crop in, it's not about another short-term measure. Let's target medium to long-term.
That's all.
You understand? And not the usual 2 years per coach, 1 year per coach. Let's give that coach some latitude, some time to go. When I was mentioning these distinguished personalities to bring on board, Odro, you remember that back in the 90s and even in the 2000s, the Premier League was very good in Ghana here. Good shape, Hatzefolk doing very well, Kotoko doing very well, down to 2 men. Hatzefolk, Harisako, Kotoko, Herbert Mensah. These guys are still alive. Bring them together. They have some X factor why they were administering these clubs and they were doing very, very well. And the Premier League was very, very good. Bring them together. That is how you bring stakeholders on board and let them discuss. But the one to organize this conference is not the GFA because they have no moral.
Thank you very much. We will leave it here. Guys, we throw it to you out there also. These are genuine opinions on the matter. In the comment section, you can also leave your opinions as well. And then we can address the issue. We all love Ghana football, and that is why we have to talk and we must talk about Ghana football. Catch us in our next episode. Thank you. You heard from Rozo and then you heard from Mugis.